Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Shut Up and Read. I am coming back to you guys with another reading vlog. I feel like I've been doing a lot of reading vlogs recently, but I wanted to document my time while reading the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I did a poll on Twitter recently because I really wanted to tackle some of my series. I have a lot of series that I haven't actually had the time to read them yet, so I did a poll on Twitter asking you guys to help me pick my next series to pick up, and you guys picked a Darker Shade of Magic series, which I have been eyeing and dying to pick up for the longest time. So I'll be reading this series during this reading vlog. I brought them all with me to my parents' place, so I'll be spending the next few days just documenting my time while reading this series. I have really high hopes for it because I've heard amazing things about it, so we'll see how this goes. So another quick update. It is currently the next day, Friday, December 28th, and I am still currently reading this book. I'm currently on page 105, so I'm about, I don't know, a quarter of the way done, and I am loving this book so much. The best way how I would describe V.E. Schwab's writing is she's more of a storyteller. The writing style isn't exactly magical or lyrical or anything like that, but the way how she portrays the characters and the story just makes you very, very much encaptured into what is going on, and I am thoroughly enjoying this book. So my goal right now is to finish this book by the end of today. Honestly, I'm not really sure because it's already like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm actually heading to the movies in an hour or so, so I'm not sure how much reading I get done, but ideally by the end of tonight I do want to finish or almost be done with this book already, because honestly it goes by so fast. It's actually so good that I'm actually putting down my Korean drama that I'm also watching to read this book, because I'm just like, I want to know what happens next. I really want to know where the story takes me and everything else. And right now I'm at the point where the thief is like, she's introduced and she has played like a minor part in this book already, and I'm just kind of curious to see how both world, Kel and her, their lives will intertwine with each other, and like when their paths cross basically. So I haven't gone to that part yet, but both characters are now very much introduced. Mostly I like Kel a little bit more, but the girl, Delilah, she is like the thief or whatever like that, and her story is very interesting as well, but her role isn't very big right now. I've only read like maybe 2 or 3 chapters of her side of story, so I'm not really engrossed and I don't really care too much about her side just yet, but I'm very much curious about Kel, and I'm also curious to see about all the different Londons and how they interact with each other. That I find very, very interesting. So that's where I am with this book right now. So talking about movies, because I actually went to see The Mortal Engines yesterday, and that movie is so good. I don't know why the ratings for that is so low, because I watched it yesterday and it was like a little over 2 hours, and I honestly didn't even realize how fast time flew, because every other movie I watched recently, I was talking to my friends about this, and I was like, yeah, the movie is good. For example, like Widows was good, and what other movie I watched, I forget, but like a lot of the movies I watched were good. But the thing is, Queen Mary of Scots, something like that, and both movies are great. It's just that they're so long. Like they easily could have cut off like half an hour or something like that. There's no need for both of them to be 2+ hours. And she was telling me, like my friend was telling me about how apparently 2 hours is like the norm these days. So this was a movie, Mortal Engines was a movie that I honestly thought that time flew by. I did not even realize that 2 hours passed, and it was such a good film. I am actually really curious about picking up the book now. I usually, once I watch the movie, I don't go back to pick up the book, because the book is usually better, and I'll kind of like think back on it and be like, oh, the movie wasn't that great anymore. But I think for this one, I'm kind of curious to read the book now, because honestly that movie was really great. Another great movie is Aquaman, by the way. I went to watch it with my sister, and that was a really good movie. That was also another movie where the time flew by. So those are 2 movies that I definitely recommend that I saw recently. But yeah, later today I'm going to go watch Mary Poppins, because I've heard that it's also a great movie, and I think that one has like a rating of like 100% or something like that. My sister was like, oh my god, why is that rating so high? So I then want to watch that, and yeah. But anyways, I will update you guys later in terms of this book. Possibly tonight or tomorrow. This might be like a super short update for today, because honestly I'm not doing anything today except for reading, and I did edit some of my video earlier, so I spent like an hour or 2 hours doing that. So other than that, I've been mostly focusing on reading and watching my Korean drama. So that's the update for today. So I'm still reading this book right now, and I haven't gone to the movies yet. It's only been like 20 minutes since I last updated you guys, but they have just met, and I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen next. And of course, like their first initial encounter is a little struggling, but I'm really intrigued by now by this story. I'm already on page, since I last updated you guys like 20 minutes ago, literally, I'm already on page 142. So this book is flying through, like I'm flying through this book so fast, and I am so excited to find out what happens next. And oh my god, the series is so good. She is such a good writer. I think it's just, I'm so engrossed in this story right now, and the characters and the different worlds. Oh my god. So anyway, good morning everybody. So it's actually a brand new day. It's currently super early in the morning. It's like 7:30 a.m. but I am all ready to go head out soon because my friend and I are actually going to a museum. It's like my idea. It's some sort of museum where you see like really like large exhibitions. Like everything in the exhibition is like giant size or something like that, and they have a special exhibition going on, some sort of like infinity mirrors thing. So I thought it'd be really cool. My sister went recently and she really liked it, so I thought I would go check it out. And so we're gonna go out super early in the morning because we didn't actually get tickets for it, so we had to do like the wait list line. So we were aiming to get there really early. So before we go there, I thought I'll update you guys on my reading for this book. So I'm currently already on page 232. So I am more than halfway through with this book already, and I am loving it so much right now. It's so good. I've definitely reached the part where they have met and all these things happen, and I'm just like super excited to find out what happens next. Though now that I think about it, the plot, actually nothing really happens until I would say like halfway through the book, or like at least a quarter into the book, now that I think about it, because the beginning is a lot of world building. It's like introduction of Cal, introduction of Delilah or Lila, and then like their worlds, etc., and like how the magic system works. And then the plot doesn't really start until they actually meet up, and then that's when the catalyst of the rest of the action of the book begins. So it does start off a little bit slow in that aspect in terms of the plot, because nothing really happens until then, but I am enjoying it so much so far. It's such an easy book to read. I mean, I can just go somewhere and I can just sit down and read for like just a few pages, and I'm already like absorbed into the story, because that's how into this book I am right now. So I am so excited to read this book. I don't know, I was actually hoping to finish it last night, but obviously that didn't happen. But I am more than halfway through, so I can definitely polish it off today, but I don't know when I'll do that because I'm going to this museum thing. I don't know when I'll be back. I'm grabbing lunch with my friend, the same friend I'm going with, so I'm assuming it's going to be at least like a half a day kind of thing. So I don't know when I'll be back, but when I come back, I definitely want to pick up this book. But I'm going to bring it with me just in case, because you don't know how long the wait list line. I might need something to read while waiting there, except, you know, hopefully my friend brought something to read too, so I'm not just awkwardly reading while he's just standing there. It's so weird. But yeah, so I'm gonna bring this just in case, on the off chance I can read it, but for the most part I don't think I'll pick it up until I get back home. But I will take you guys along in terms of like montages and stuff like that, so at least you can kind of see what I'm referring to. But anyways, I will update you guys later in terms of my reading, as well as the next few clips will be all about the museum and like the trip and probably the food, etc. So I'll see you guys later. Hey guys, so giving you guys another quick update. Right now it is already Sunday and I just came back from church and of course grabbing my cup of coffee. I haven't done bubble tea in a while, to be honest, so I've been doing more coffee recently. But I'll give you guys an update in terms of my reading. I finished this book last night, kind of late last night, and didn't get a chance to start this book until this morning, and I'm currently on page 32, so have not really made any significant dent in this book at all. But I want to talk about this book for a little bit. So the first half of the book, I think, like I said the past few days, I think V.E. Schwab is a really great storyteller. So I think the first half of the book was really well done. There was a lot of world building, a lot of the characters, all these introductions where these elements were revealed, and I really enjoyed that part of this book. So the first half of the book I was really interested in. I was basically like, I even stopped watching my K-drama to read this book because I was like, I kind of want to read this book more than I want to watch my K-drama. But then once I got to the second half of the book, somehow it's not like I lost interest in it, but I feel like the action and the plot just didn't really have that sense of urgency as I had anticipated. Whereas the first half of the book I was like super interested in. I wanted to know everything that was going on. I wanted to know the world that she created. I wanted to know how the magic system, I want to know everything. But then the second half of the book, I don't know, I just didn't really feel any need to kind of finish it as fast as possible. I mean, I still finished it really quickly because her writing style is very easy to read and very easy for me to absorb and go through really quickly. But the action itself, I didn't have that sense of urgency like I normally do with other great fantasy novels, like for example Stranger Dreamer. Like that book, or like Muse of Nightmares, like those two books, I was like, I wanted to read everything. I want to know what happened. I want to know pretty much everything in those books. But this book, I don't know, like the second half of the book, it's good. I mean, this book overall is still a really great book, but the plot, like the action part, just didn't really grab my attention as much as I would have liked it to. So that part, I wasn't super, it's not like I didn't like it, it's just, it wasn't just appealing, or it wasn't as appealing, it just wasn't attention grabbing, I guess is what I'm really trying to say here. So anyway, that is it basically for this book. So I'm currently reading this book and I'm at the part right now where it is Delilah's point of view, and Kel hasn't even made an appearance yet, so there is that to this book. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, it's still an interesting book, don't get me wrong. It's just not as intense, or I don't feel a sense of urgency for me to just power through these books like I normally do with a lot of great other novels. So that is how I feel right now for this series. I mean, it's still a good series, it's just not, it's definitely not a 5-star series for me so far. So I mean, I will rate the first book more like a 3.5 or like a 4-star if I'm being generous, but more like a 3.5 to be honest. This book though, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I just started it, so that is it in terms of my update. It's a very bland update. Also, like, man, this lighting is so whack. It's like super early too. It's only like 12 o'clock, so I don't know why this lighting is so strange. But anyways, I'm going to just sign off for now and I'll update you guys later. Happy New Year everyone. So it is currently Tuesday, sometime in the morning ish. Like 11, just after 11 a.m. I did not update you guys yesterday at all, mainly because so my sister came back Sunday evening and then we were just hanging out. Then we had like a mild emergency. Her boyfriend had to go to the hospital for whatever reason, and then like turns out everything was okay. And then like yesterday we were just chilling, we were playing board games pretty much like all day. So I really didn't have much to update you guys because I didn't really read that much, but I have made some progress, just not as much as I would have liked. I'm currently about halfway through this book. Specifically, I am on page 256 pages, and I have to say this book is definitely a lot slower. I think we're finally at the part where there's going to be some more action now, because nothing has really happened so far. There has been this introduction of a side character that I really am liking right now. He so far is my favorite. I'm very curious to see more about his history, because he seems to have like a negative history in terms of with Kel. I don't know what happened there, but something happened between him and Kel. At least something about Kel like does not like him at all. So I'm very curious to see like what's going on with them. And then there's also seems to be some sort of like romance thing between him and Delilah or Lila. Not sure about that either. Like they have some sort of hint of romance, but then there's also like a hint of romance between her and Cal. So I'm kind of like, ooh, who am I, you know, rooting for? I have no idea, to be honest. Kind of low-key rooting for the side character, but I feel like because Cal is the main character, she'll end up with Cal. But right now I'm most interested with his relationship with Cal as well as his relationship with Delilah. That's really where I am with this book right now. Nothing major, because nothing really has happened so far, because I don't know, this book is just a lot slower. I'm hoping I'm getting to something more interesting right now. We're now at the part where the games are about to begin. So yeah, I mean, hopefully something happens, because I am struggling with this book right now. Also, I think I'm just not really in the mood to read, because it is the holiday and my sister and her boyfriend are here. We're just like playing board games like the entire time, going to the movies, etc., and nothing really major has happened. So I don't know, I'm gonna try to read as much as I can for this book, but originally I wanted to read the whole trilogy in a week, and I don't think it's gonna happen at all, to be honest, because it's already the first, going back to New York in a day or two, so not really gonna have time to pick up the third book, because the third book is even more massive than this book. So I mean, I'll pick it up and I'll still vlog it. It just won't be a week vlog. It's going to be like whenever I finish this trilogy vlog, I suppose. So we'll see. Oh my god. So I am coming back to you guys with an update right now. It's still Tuesday. I'm currently on page 308, and I just need to discuss something because I am shook. Something just happened right now with the minor character that I mentioned earlier that I did not expect at all. I somehow completely missed the signs. I don't know how, and something just happened and I'm just like, whoa. I am shook, guys. Very shook. Hey guys, so I'm actually coming with you guys with another update. Right now it is Wednesday, January 2nd, so it's a day after New Year, and I officially finished book 2. This is book 2 of this series so far, and I actually stayed up until like 1 in the morning to read this because this got so good. So after I finished this book, I went to, well, not yesterday night because I was like dead tired. So this morning I kind of went to see what other people were saying, not on purpose, to be honest, because I was watching a bunch of like best books of the year, and one booktuber, she mentioned that this series, the second and third book were on her best books, but the first book she was very meh about, and I have to agree. The first book, like I said already, the first half I really enjoyed all the world building, the characters, etc., and then once the action kind of started, it became kind of meh to me. I just didn't really care much for it. And this book, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but this book starts 4 months after the end of the first book, and so the first half of this book was really slow. It was kind of just a reintroduction of what was going on between the 4 months, so I actually kind of don't really know why the author just didn't start directly from the end of the first book rather than kind of go into flashbacks and kind of reintroduce a bunch of elements to it and be like, oh, so this is where they've been for the past 4 months. So I don't know, I mean, whatever. So the first half of the book was a little bit slow, I think, and there were a lot of introductions with new characters. One of the side characters I really like though, so I mentioned this already, and I really like him a lot. He definitely surprised me in certain ways, but at the end of the day, I still really enjoy his banter, his relationship, his dynamic with Delilah and specifically. So I really enjoyed that side character, and I'm hoping to see more of him in the third book. But the second book, so the first half, like I mentioned, talks about where they've been for the past 4 months and kind of like where they stand now and etc. The second half of the book kind of talks about this elemental games, and that's basically what this book is about. Kind of goes into detail about that's why they're kind of reconvening right now, because of this elemental game. And at the same time, there is like this hidden underlying like treacherous element going on. Kind of briefly mentioned this already, but not really. The element that was in this one, like the treacherous little one, is now playing a really major role in this one, and I'm just like really curious to see how this whole will play out. And I don't know, I'm just really interested in this book. I mean, the booktuber that I mentioned earlier, who had mentioned this series in her best books of 2018, she did mention that this one is like super intense, like very griping, very explosive, etc., and I'm just like really high expectations for this book so far. So the first book, like it was up and then it kind of went like stagnant a little bit. This one was like the opposite of that book, where it was kind of stagnant in the beginning and then it got really intense. So really excited for this one. I mean, this one basically has like a lot of momentum was built up, you know, and then it kind of just went flying in the second half of this book. So I am currently reading this book and I'm excited to see how this will go. This reading vlog is not over, by the way, guys, just because I'm doing like a really intense or like more in-depth update right now. This reading vlog is not over. This reading vlog will be over when I actually finish this book. And also just letting you guys know, my reading vlogs are non-spoilers. I don't try to spoil anything. I mean, I might give some stuff here and there, but I don't think any of those are really key components to actually spoiling the books in general. So I don't really like, that's why a lot of the stuff I'm kind of vague, because I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, I don't try to spoil anything. let me know if I actually do spoil anything for you guys by accident. But yeah, so I'm currently reading this book and I'm really enjoying this one so far, and I don't think I'll finish this until I get back to New York, because I mean this one has like 650 pages, so this is quite a chunky read, but really excited for this one so far. So beginning of the year has started off well, because the beginning of the year is basically when I got to the second half of this book. I mean, as yesterday, I think I was at 200 something pages, and I basically read the second half of this book yesterday, and that's basically when things got really interesting. So the first book that I finished this year ended on a really positive note, so I have really high hopes for this year, hopefully. But that's my update for now, and I'll see you guys later as I read more of this book. Honestly, I have like all 3 books with me right now, and they're just, I'm like juggling a bunch of stuff right now, so I'm really excited to see where this book will lead me. Hey guys, so I totally look like crap, but that's because I feel like crap. I've been traveling for the past like day or so. I haven't updated you guys since Wednesday, because ever since then I've been busy with hanging out with my family, and then that was my last day there, and then I just flew back to New York this morning, and then I went straight to work. So I am completely exhausted. I don't think I've actually slept a full night's rest since like Wednesday night. Like last night I slept for maybe like an hour or 2 hours max, so I look exhausted. I feel exhausted. I want to update you guys really quickly though before I like pass out. So this will be a super quick update in terms of my reading. I am still reading this book. I'm currently on page, I made a pretty good chunk actually, currently on page 444, or actually no, 443. So I'm doing really well in terms of my reading progress for this book, and I am loving this book so much more compared to books 1 and book 2. This one seems to have like everything seems to come together finally, and it makes so much more sense now in terms of the characters, in terms of what's going on. So this book is just like completely blows the entire first 2 books out of the water. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that people have read first 2 books to get to this point, because it's just, it takes so much time. I don't know, I mean, like to read 2 books to get to like a finale that's like amazing, it's just so daunting. I don't know. I mean, I went into it thinking I was expecting the whole series to be good, but I think first book, like I said already, is the second book ended really good, and then the third book right now is so good. Like everything about it is so good. I'm like completely absorbed with this book right now. I think I want to read this a little bit more before I go to bed, because I am exhausted right now. It's Friday night right after work, so I literally just came straight home, and I probably look like crap. I feel like crap, but whatever. This is a super quick update, and I'll probably update you guys tomorrow again, or whenever I am available to update you guys, aka when I'm more done with this book. But yeah, that's my update right now, and I'll see you guys later. Hi guys, so it is currently Saturday night, and I thought I'd just give you guys a really quick update. And right now I'm currently on page 610 for this hefty book, so I'm almost done. I only have maybe like 50 pages left, I think, or so. Actually, like 15 pages left, so I would definitely finish this book tonight. But I thought I'd give you guys a really quick update in terms of my thoughts before I update you guys tomorrow. But I thought I'd give you guys a really quick update right now before I actually finish this book. And all I can say is that this book is so much better than book 1 and book 2. I mean, I am enjoying the book so much more. I really like Holland in this book. He has seriously grown in on me from the beginning of the series to now. I think the first 2 books I was like about him, but now I can definitely see that he has such a dry humor, such a sarcastic humor, that I really enjoy him. I can really connect with his humorous like remarks and everything. Like everything he says, it's just hilarious to me. Like he has a dry humor that I can really relate to, and so I can really appreciate his statements and whatever. And so I am really enjoying him in this book. I think the first 2 books, because he was kind of portrayed in a different light, I didn't like him as much. But as of right now, there's something that he said in this book, the last like 100 pages, that I was like, oh my god, I am loving you right now. So I'm really liking him. I like Cal. Delilah has really grown in on me as well. Beginning I was kind of like but you know, but as of right now, loving this book. Cannot wait to finish it. I only have like 15 pages or so left, so I'll definitely finish this book tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow, but I don't see why I wouldn't finish this book tonight unless I go to sleep right now, which I mean, to be fair, I'll probably do soon, but I think I will be awake enough to actually read 15 pages. It won't take that long. So that's my update for now, but I will update you guys like a full recap tomorrow for the entire series and what I thought about it without spoiling anything, because I still want this to be a spoiler-free like-ish vlog. So anyways, I'll update you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, so final update now that I am finishing up this vlog. So right now it is Sunday evening. It's already like 7 something. Oh my god, I don't know where the time went. And I thought I'd just give you guys a recap in terms of what I thought about the entire A Darker Shade of Magic series trilogy by V.E. Schwab. So As of this point, I think I finished this book like almost a week ago, and all I remember is that the first book was very meh. I mean, the beginning, I loved it. I loved the world building. I loved her writing style. I loved the characters, like the introduction of everyone. That was really great. But then it got to the middle, and when the action started, all the climax, it just really fell flat for me. I didn't really feel a need to continue with it. And there were only really 3 reasons, I think, as to why I continued with this book. Because if it wasn't for these 3 reasons, I might have actually DNF'd this book, because that's how lack of an interest I had for the second half of this book. But the 3 reasons were, 1, a lot of people were loving this book. They were like, or the series in general, they were just raving about it, etc. And I was like, there must be a reason as to why this series was doing so well. I mean, a lot of people seem to really love it. So that was one reason. The second reason was also I was filming this video, so I was like, well, this would be kind of a lame video if I just like gave up the book halfway through and it wasn't even the first book. Like, I didn't even finish the first book, so I figured I should probably strive through and continue with it. And the third reason was that I was still, even though the second half was not the most amazing part, but I was still really intrigued by the magic system, by the world that she created. So part of me, I was still kind of interested into finding out what will happen in the future, as well as figuring out why everyone loved the series so much. So that was the third reason and why I kind of continued with the series, because honestly, if it wasn't for all those 3 reasons, I probably would have DNF'd this first book. So that was my initial thoughts for this book. Then the second book was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. So this book was pretty much the exact opposite of the first book, where the first half was very boring. I mean, it was not at all interesting to me. I was seriously struggling with the first half of this book, but then I got to the second half, and that's when this entire trilogy really lifted off for me, because it was kind of like, you know, a roller coaster. I was trying to find the best analogy all day today in terms of how to describe this book. This book is like riding a roller coaster. You know how when you're first going up onto like the first cliff, there's like that intense like inching, like very slow inching your way up to where the roller coaster will actually drop ultimately. So the first half was like that. It was just like super slow, like kind of inching your way slowly upwards, but you don't really know, you just know you're going upwards because it's gonna be a climax, because that's usually that's what happens with books. So you know it's gonna be some sort of like drop off at the end and crazy stuff is gonna happen soon, but the entire time up is just like really slow, and you're just like, okay, let's get on with this. At least that's how I usually feel when I ride roller coasters. So that's how I felt for the first half of the book. Second half of the book is basically when you drop, you know, you do that turn and you go down. So, and that's when like everything starts coming together. It's like all this craziness, all this action, everything. So that's how I would best describe this book, I think, because the second half was so much better than the first half and the first book in general. And I also really liked the introduction of this minor character, Alucard, I think that's how I pronounce his name. I really liked him. His whole thing, I really liked him a lot. He was such an interesting character. I really like his dynamic, especially with Lila. Like, that relationship, friendship, whatever, was amazing. I really like that. And I also feel like in this book the characters grew a lot more in terms of the relationships. So Kel and Rai, who is his brother, their relationship, their friendship, that really drove home for me in this book, I think. I mean, their dynamic was just so strong, and I really liked that in the second book. So the second book just really ended on a really great note for me. And then finally, the third book, A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. So this book was great. This book definitely exceeded the first 2 books out of the water. Like, it was so much better than the first 2 books. My only issue with this book was that, so there's this huge thing that's going on, right? I mean, there's like a huge dilemma that's going on with this book. I mean, I figured most people would know by that, otherwise it wouldn't be a book. So there's this huge dilemma going on, and they found a solution to this dilemma pretty early on. I want to say that within the first like 200 pages, they're like, oh, I think this will be a solution. You know, like not the ultimate solution, but a step to get to the ultimate solution. And somehow, for whatever reason, it took another like 200 or 300 pages to get to like actually implementing that solution. So for me, I was like, I don't really understand why it's taking so long. It made things a little bit slower, I think, because it just seems like you're just waiting. Like, you know what's going to happen and you know everything's going to be great, but then you're still waiting for it. So I didn't really like that. But to be fair though, like the 300 pages in between, there was still a lot of stuff going on from like other parts of the world, other worlds in general, etc. So it wasn't as if the author just kind of left things very slow. There was certainly tons of action going on still, but in terms of the solution, I was like, I'm just waiting for you guys to actually implement it. It doesn't make sense for me that you guys are still waiting for it to be implemented. So that was probably my only issue with this book. Of course, you know, the last like 100 pages or so was amazing, so really enjoyed this one. Also, my least favorite character was definitely Delilah. I did not like her at all. I found her really not that interesting to me. I think the way how the author transitioned her character from the first to the second book didn't really make much sense to me. It was very unrealistic, so that I didn't really like. But then from the second to the third book, that transition made a lot more sense to me, so I definitely enjoyed her at the end a little bit more. But for a main character, she was definitely not my favorite character at all. And the character that changed the most for me was Holland. I mean, in the beginning I didn't like him, then he changed a lot, and at the end I'm like, oh my god, you're one of my favorites. So anyways, those are my thoughts for this trilogy. I mean, at the same time, I can't imagine reading the first 2 books to get to a great ending. I don't know, I just had like really high expectations, I think. But then afterward, when I was looking at Goodreads, the first book had the lowest rating, and as the series continued, the ratings went higher. So clearly a lot of people were on the same page as me, where the first book was much more subdued versus, or subpar, compared to the second and third book. So I'm a little surprised, because usually the first book is the one that's like amazing. That's how you get to hook people into the series, you know what I mean? So I'm a little surprised at the first book. A lot of people were just like, oh, it was the least rated book out of the entire trilogy. But I mean, this third book did redeem itself in the series and like the entire trilogy. So my overall rating for the series, I'd probably give it a 4-star, because the first book, definitely a 3 or 3.5. This one is probably a 4-star at best, and this one was like a 4.5. Not yet a 5-star because of what I mentioned earlier, but a 4.5. So I think the overall series I'll rate it as a 4-star. That's my overall conclusion and thoughts on the series. So anyway, that's a lot to say for this video. My camera's about to die soon, so I'm just gonna wrap this up really quickly. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with what I say for the first, second, or third book. If you have read it, did you like it, did you not like it? Let me know all down below. But as always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!